If someone comes to the university 5 years from now, what would be something different that you brought in there that is not seen in other universities currently in Nigeria?
Well, yeah, the university are two things: the physical structures and the essence of the university. I would like to be able to bequeath a set of physical structures that is beautiful, that is integrated, that is green. That I believe that where students learn, where faculty teach and do research, should show the importance that education is to society. I also believe that the university are three things: the production of scholars, innovations, and inventions. And I think those are the three aspects of university life that I would like to live after 5 years of being Vice Chancellor.
Hello. Thousands of protesters stormed the streets of Tunis, the capital of Tunisia, demanding the resignation of the country's president. They want President Kais Saied to resign because of the country's deepening political and economic crisis. Mr. Saied came into power in 2021 with the support of the people, but recent frustrations on the political and economic fronts have led to this turn of events. Yesterday's protest happened exactly 12 years after Tunisians forced the former dictator Ben Ali into exile, which triggered the Arab Spring. Tunisia is having difficulty importing basic goods due to rising debt. So far, the government has not obtained an international bailout. With problems getting coffee, milk, and sugar, a protester told the AFP news agency, Tunisia is going through the most dangerous time in its history. In Nigeria, the governor of Anambra State, Professor Charles Soludo, has called on President Muhammadu Buhari to release the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. He made the call yesterday at APGA National Campaign launch in Dr. Alex Ekweme Square in Awka. He said that the discussion on the insecurity in the Southeast will only be complete with the presence of Nnamdi Kanu. He also offered to be Nnamdi Kanu's shorty. Let's listen to him.
I now want to appeal and plead and request and demand of the federal government and our president, led by the Ebro President Buhari, that a critical person required around that table for that conversation to be complete, for us to have an all-round approach to dealing with the issue of insecurity and discussing about the future of the Southeast. That person, and we need him urgently around the table, please him to us, and that is Nnamdi Kanu. I'm calling on the federal government to please release Nnamdi Kanu.
It is 4:30 p.m. in Lagos, Nigeria, 10:30 a.m. in New York City, 5:30 p.m. in Johannesburg, South Africa, and 7:30 p.m. in Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo. Wherever in the world you are watching us, welcome to another episode of 90 Minutes Africa. My name is Rodolfo Okonkwo. My co-host, Chido Onuma, is on assignment. Joining us today on 90 Minutes Africa is Professor Bolaji Aluko. For those who do not know Bolaji Aluko, let me introduce you to him.
Well, my name is Bolaji Aluko. I'm a professor of chemical engineering at Howard University. I've been in the United States since 1978, December 31 to be exact.
Okay.
I've lived in California, New York before I came to Howard University to start teaching in 1984.
Okay.
Done sabbatical stints at Seattle,
Okay.
University of Washington in Seattle, and also in University of Maryland, College Park.
All right. Professor Bolaji Aluko was a former professor of chemical engineering at Howard University. He later served as the inaugural vice chairman. No, sorry. He later served as the inaugural vice chancellor of the Federal University of Technology, Otuoke, in Bayelsa State. Last month, he was appointed a special advisor to the governor of Ekiti State on infrastructures and utility. Professor Aluko, welcome.
Thank you very much, Rudolph, the only reindeer south of the Sahara.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to have you. It's been a while. We didn't see much of you since you left America. And,
well, I've been busy in mother country and mother state.
Very good, very good. That's why we want to talk to you, because you were part of us and you were very active, not just like any other person here. And we want to know how it has been for you. I mean, going to Nigeria and participating in our country.
Well, you mean my experience as in the government in Nigeria?
Yes, as vice. Let's start from vice chancellor. You
vice
were
chancellor.
there.
Well, okay.
Yes.
Well, first, let me say that my experience has been conditioned by my pre-experience before I got into this job. As you know, I was a critic in many respects of how things should be done, how government should run, how universities should be run, and so on. So, given the opportunities to put my mouth, I had to go back to many of the things I had said to be sure that I was had fidelity to those things. So, for example, when I became Vice Chancellor of the university, one of the first things to let the staff know that we are there for the students and that we are in loco parentis to the students, and that the comfort of the student was what was essential to the university, and that students should be treated as adults, and students should respect the faculty, or that is the staff, and the staff should also be empowered to. And finally, that administrative staff. So I would quickly just to say that students are center of the university, and as adults who need to be respected and ensure that they graduate as quickly as possible. An environment that allows the teachers or the staff to do research and teach, and just a public university that is as good as any private university. In fact, that was one big university does not make us inferior. That the fact that we're a public university does not make us inferior to a private university. I mean, University of California is a public university. Stanford is a private university, but they all have same stature.
Very good.
So that was the what I brought to the university environment.
Professor Aluko, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. Nice to have you back. I was actually telling our audience that you are in charge of utilities, infrastructure and utilities. Maybe by the time you are done with that, you'll fix this one for us.
yeah. Infrastructure.
At least,
yes. So I just very quickly said, university, you do student-centered governance, and in government, you do a people-centered governance. And once you put the people who are expecting you, who are the essence of the place, you cannot go wrong if you indeed make sure that you are accountable to those very people.
Okay, very good. Now, let's look at the bigger picture before we come back to what you did and the role you are playing currently. In under 40 days, Nigeria will have an election, and they will elect a president who will be in charge of the country for 4 years. How do you see the politics and the politicians and the campaign?
Well, every time a election comes around in Nigeria, there's always a what do they call it? They always say, this is a do or this is another one of those.
The one that will change everything. Yeah.
Yes, and there's always a concern, and you actually find some people leaving the country. Some people are already, they won't tell you, they will just leave, and they say they are going for some medical checkup, and they don't come until after a month after the second set of elections. I know my people, but we will be here. We'll be here. We'll be here to contend with them. I was here in the 2019 election. I was here in the 2015 election. Actually, I was a residential. You remember?
INEC,
INEC, as Vice Chancellor. I was INEC residential for Delta State. I announced the presidential election.
I remember now, yeah. So you can tell us a lot about how these things go.
Yes. So I've been on the ground as a voter. I've been on the ground as a residential electoral officer. So this one too will come and go. Nigeria is a fairly resilient country. It will come and go. But this one is going to be fairly interesting because there are 4 major contenders. We always do as if it's only the presidential election that matters, but really there are presidential. So the presidential is a 4-sum. But I will also put a 5-sum. I like to put our friend Omoyele Sowore as the 5th one. I don't want us to forget Omoyele as the 5th person. So he's diaspora. He's our friend. So we have Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We have Atiku Abubakar. There are a 5-sum and 13 others. Luckily, there has been no electoral violence, so that is very good. There has been no significant electoral violence. The only violence we've seen has been against INEC itself, and most of that has been in the southeast. And those have been isolated, so it's not as if it is broad. But violence among parties has been very reduced. There has been a lot of talk between candidates, especially their supporters, about age, about corruption, about all of that. But that's, politics is part theater. Okay, so all of that is part of the game. I mean, those of us who have lived in the West for a long time, the political period is always the most exciting, and you see people accuse each other of all kinds of things. So, but once there's no violence, I mean, then that is really an exciting time. So I'm looking forward to a good election, a good turnout. I believe they have now released the voters register to all the political parties. That's a good step. Actually, they had in earlier elections too, they had released the list, because I had a CD of the voters register for 201, I believe for 2015. And it was the same voter register that was used for 2015 that was used for 2019, which should not have been the case. But there wasn't significant new registration recorded. There was new registration, but there was no recorded, there was no addition between 2015 and 2019. But the 2023 one, I think, has been well revised. Dead people have been removed and so on. So I think this will be authentic. And the fact that there will be both BVAS, and I think there's another step they're using now, will make the elections a little bit more authentic. But we live to see.
So based on what you saw in 2015 and 2019, do you think
Yeah.
there is any difference in this current season? Have you seen, in terms of the
Yes, yes,
campaign?
yes. I took part in the Ekiti gubernatorial elections
Okay.
in which they used beavers, and I saw the impact. Before, rigging used to be done using the register. Now that can be done. It is done using the registered voters, that is the PVC owners, and then the people who attend on that day. So there are now three things. There are the registration, there are those who collect the PVC collection, and then there are those who show up on that day. And the total votes cannot exceed the number of those who show up in a given polling unit. The two reasons why a resident agent or electoral resident agent can, on the spot, cancel an election, two things. If the number of voters recorded exceed the number of those who show up, that's one. And two, if there are two people who must sign every sheet, the INEC officer and another officer who is not INEC. And when I was in Bayelsa, I canceled a local government election because a second agent did not show up. I accepted the results, but I did not add it to the other results. And that was upheld by INEC because the guy who went on his own, did not carry the resident agent along, brought the results in, and he said he couldn't find that other guy. And we said that's not good enough. So there are some checks and balances.
In that video I was playing, you were talking about buying votes.
Yes.
I think it concerns about that. Is there anything that changed in that?
Well, let me tell you again. I was involved in the Ekiti elections, and no one can say money was not used. I cannot say that. Okay. But I know that even in advanced democracies, the day before election, 2 days of election, on election day, you must mobilize your agents to go from somewhere to somewhere. I mean, in the US, a situation where the lines are very long and they say you need to buy water for the old guys so that they don't faint. You need to use a bus to carry them from somewhere to somewhere. Of course, you're not giving them money by hand to vote for you, but you need to spend money to ensure something happens. Now, inducement, I do not believe that 1.7 million people, each one of those people get 500 naira, 1,000 naira to vote for a particular party. Now, some people may come out with the hope that they will get something. So the expectation of getting some money, some appreciation for coming out, may get some people out. But that will not make a particular party win because they have been given 500 naira, 1,000 naira. So first, I believe that parties have to spend money the day before election or election day for logistics, even of their own agents and of those that they hope will come and vote for them who do not have their own personal wherewithal to come and vote. That's number one. And number two, that even if there are people who are induced, I think they are marginal to the voting margin.
Okay, so the issues in this election,
Yes.
there are some issues like personal issues about the candidates. I want to know what you think about things like the health of the candidates. There are issues about their biography. So do an assessment for us, the way you used to do it on Nigeria World and all the other places. And start with Bola Tinubu, and then you go to Atiku and Obi. And
I will start with, first let me tell you that all of these 5 candidates that I mentioned, except Rabiu Kwakwanso, I know them personally. And when I say I know them personally, it is what I mean is that they will see me and recognize me. You know, it's one thing to know somebody and you say you know them.
Yeah.
It's another thing for you to pass them and they won't know you, you know. So let me first establish that Bola Tinubu, Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, and Omoyele Sowore, I know them personally. That's number one. Omoyele Sowore, we were in diaspora together. Worked when Sahara Reporter was being established. I was one of his boosters and advisors on it. We were sued together.
Yes.
You know, so we are in the trench. We were in the trenches together. Atiku Abubakar, if there's any politician I've gotten any money from ever before, he is the only one that at one time gave me $6,000 to travel between the US and back to Nigeria and back, because he had read an article I wrote on how to stop corruption, how to stop electoral rigging. And he wanted me to come and discuss it with his, he was running under APC at that point. I think he had the APC and ANPP.
Yeah.
So I came to Lawal and one other professor were involved. So I came and he insisted that I come. In fact, at one point I did not want to go. He called me again and asked Jennifer, his wife then, to send money to me so that I could come. Peter Obi, I got to know him when he was governor of Anambra through my friend, Professor Aniebonam. Went to him, so I know him personally a number of times. I've left the last to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is a friend. I know him. He's competent. We were in the trenches together in the pro-democracy. He was in NADECO, and I was president of the Nigeria Democratic Movement. Even before he moved from Nigeria to London to the US, we had been interacting. When he was in Nigeria before he left for the US, he was instrumental in ensuring that Jesse Jackson was allowed into Nigeria. He was one of those who I appealed to him to let Jesse Jackson come, because Jesse Jackson was going to be stoned when Clinton sent him to Nigeria to try and interact with Abiola in prison. And the pro-democracy movement did not want Jesse Jackson to come. And my Nigerian Democratic Movement pleaded with the NADECO in Nigeria at that point, and between himself, Beko Kuti, and Ahmed Tinubu, they were able to plead for Jesse Jackson to come. I had not met Tinubu personally then. I just called him on the phone and explained to him, and he made sure that Jesse Jackson was received by the pro-democracy movement. In London, when he went on exile in London myself, Beko Kuti, and Kayode Fayemi met with Tinubu. That was the point when we started the Yoruba movement. Okay, so I was involved in that. We had the first Yoruba memo or Yoruba agenda written. He was involved in that. And then when he came over to the US, where for the longest time I interacted with him, I knew him personally. I knew his democratic credentials, and so that's how I know them. In terms of health, look, all of us are I'm talking about 1993. In fact, when I remember, I am 67, going 68 now. I'll be 68 in April. When I even think of that, I remember when I was 21 and I was 30. 1993 is a long time ago, 1994, when I got to know Tinubu for the first time. Okay, so he's grown much older than I knew him. Okay, so he may not be as agile as he was. Okay, but some of the things that they say, maybe his handshakes or something, is that he has always been like that. Okay, he's not a footballer. Let's put it that way. You know, but he knows how to use people. But again, I'm not here to campaign for him. I'm just simply here to let you know that any assessment I have is based on primary knowledge. Atiku is a person who is very he's very respectful. He's very respectful of intellectuals, and he knows how to deploy intellectuals very well. You know, he knows how to deploy intellectuals very well. Peter Obi, to some extent, yeah. I just wanted to be sure that I went to connect it to the so charger. That it does it. Yeah. So Peter Obi, yeah, charger. Yeah. Peter Obi is a very frugal, very determined young man. I think he'll make a good president if only he could have enough structures to go ahead.
And what about, of course,
our friend Showore? If there was going to be any radical change in Nigeria, it is a person like Showore who will bring it about. That is a radical change. But one does not know whether a country like ours is ready for a radical change. I'm hoping that it will continue. He will continue to make his case, but not relent. And at some point, show the world that he can work with others to make a difference. You know. So, but let's leave it that way for now.
All right. So based on what you just described, I think I could say that you know Tinubu more than anybody else, any of these candidates. You know him fairly well for a while now, and without picking on him as I said, based on what you just said, I think you know Tinubu more than any other candidate. More.
I didn't hear you well.
Okay, I'm saying that based on what you just said about these candidates, I think you know Tinubu more than you know any of the other four candidates.
Yeah, it will be, the order will be Tinubu, Showore, Atiku, Obi, and Kwakwaso, not at all.
Okay, all right. So let's just look at Tinubu, because also he's the leading candidate. You can say he's the candidate for the major the government in power. So when you listen to him speak, now at campaign events, what do you hear?
Well, I attended the OPS, Organized Private Sector meeting in Abuja in December. No, in October. because I traveled to the US October 30. I think it was October 28 or 29. I mean, I was at his OPS. So it isn't, I just don't talk about media, social media recordings and so on. So I was live. And as he was entering, I shook hands with him. He has been to Ekiti State when he came to show himself to the Oba and so on. So my interaction with him during this period transcends just social media. Okay? Mm-hmm. That's the first thing I want to indicate. He is not the smoothest talker. Okay? He is not the smoothest talker. He talks in some staccato fashion. Okay? He talks in some staccato fashion. And I actually believe that somewhere in his brain, he translates Yoruba into English before he speaks.
Okay. Because we want to, it's good you're telling us this, because we want to understand what's going on, because most people are, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I believe that somewhere, and this is always how he has been. I believe that somewhere he translates Yoruba into English, because you can see some idioms that he uses that if you were to say them in Yoruba, they will make perfect sense. Okay. So all the other issues that they say, I believe some of them are just attempts at demarketing. But I believe that he should prepare his. You hear some of these things, and attempts at humor. Okay. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, attempts at humor. Attempts at humor with translations that are not English language humor. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, the clip that you just said, for example, if he said it in Yoruba, it will be extremely funny.
Okay.
So there
are some that are more like for even in engineering, as an engineering professor, let me show you this and see what you think about this, because it's about science, and maybe you can say engineering too. Let me play this and see what you think. Hold on, let me find it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This. There are talks about making
anybody who can own gun, who can handle gun, who can cock gun and clean the chamber and cock and shoot is technically competent to repair a tractor in the farm.
All right. So I studied agricultural engineering at Futakure. I hear some of the things he says that scientifically, like how is it that someone who can cock a gun, is technically able to repair a tractor? I'm just using that as an example. I know you are an engineer, and so but there are some things that he says that are beyond translation. Like when he talked about connecting electricity from corn, there are something beyond translation. Don't you think so?
This is my Christmas present phone.
Wow.
The most expensive toy I've ever bought for myself, ever.
Oh, you bought it for yourself. I thought you were going to say that one of your kids bought it for you.
No, I could have told that lie, but I bought it for myself.
That's okay. Nice to have you back. Thank you so much.
Anyway.
So before you went off, you were trying to explain. I played the video about tractor.
Well, Rudolph, I'm in a number of platforms where the narrative, the incessant narrative, has been about the health of Tinubu, as if that is a disqualifying issue. Anybody in this TikTok age, anybody can have a video played and slowed or speeded up, and it will sound as if you are either slurring or so on. Okay? So I can play a video of Rudolph, just 90% what the speed at which you were speaking, and it will look as if you have just had a kai to drink. So those are not the issues. Every candidate put on paper what he wants to do. Let every candidate put out there the team he wants to accomplish it. Let every candidate what he has done. For you to be voted for, you must have a past, you must have a present, and you must have a future. The past are your accomplishments. The present is your manifesto and your team and your vision. Okay? And the future is that implementation strategy and the team with which you want to implement it. Most of the other things, how you were born, where you were born, up until when Jesus Christ was assassinated, there were people who were still saying, is that not the son of Joseph the carpenter? I am sure that there were people in Nazareth calling him a bastard because they did not know who his father was. There are many people of privilege who say, oh yeah, we can hammer upon it, but at the end of the day, how many Nigerians are hearing of all of these things? So they can go on, but let every candidate show his past accomplishments in what he wants to do, his present team and vision, and future, the implementation team, and let the people decide.
Okay, let's move away from that. I want to talk about something else that I think, if we have what they call exit polling, will be something that will come out of it, which is what probably was driving people to vote on that day. And it's going to be something about the religious aspect of this election. The issue of Muslim ticket is out there, is playing out. We've had some pastors saying things, and it's more like politics has gone into religion. I want to know what you think about that. Are you concerned? Because we are,
yes,
for most people who listen to this, it's not just about this current election season. What happens in 4 years from now, 8 years from now? What do you think? I want to hear your view.
Yes, look, any marriage or any partnership has inherent problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
A male president and vice president has its own problems. North and South has its own problems. Muslim, Christian, Christian have their own problems. Nigeria is fraught with religious sentiments. And the norm in Nigeria is to have North-South partnership with Christian, non-Christian balance. There's no doubt about that. That is the norm. Okay? But even in our own lifetime, those norms in presidential elections have been broken. Right? I mean, Awo had a Christian ticket. Abiola had a Muslim ticket. Okay? Most of the tickets have been Muslim, Christian, Muslim. So what makes this one different? What makes this one different is because it looks as if it is the most likely to win. It is not the Muslim ticket issue. Okay, because we've had it before.
Some people are saying that that what makes this one different is also that when Buhari's 7 years in office, raised the tension in these lines of divide, and that people are more conscious of that. People are more afraid of that than before. Don't you think so?
I can assure you that Buhari, look, I'm a member of APC. Okay, I'm a member of APC. I would not fully tell you that I believe that President Buhari fulfilled fully the APC agenda. The Buhari manifesto and the APC manifesto were not completely aligned. Okay? And so those are things that we still need to ensure that we correct. But again, the people have to make a decision. I can assure you that if Tinubu had not chosen a Muslim vice president, a lot of people will have believed that it was a plot to ensure that the person who was the northern ticket, who had a person at the northern ticket at the top, that was a plot to make sure he won. I can assure you of that. That they would have said, you see, they know that Tinubu chose a weak northern vice president so that Atiku would win. I'm sure of that. It would have been a completely different narrative because there is no assurance that Tinubu will win now. But if he had chosen a Northern Christian, I can almost assure you, 95%, I can't say 100%, because nothing is ever sure, that the likelihood of him winning. And who is it that they will have chosen? Is it Babachir? Is it, because I keep asking, okay, you're saying that they should have chosen a Northern Christian. Tell me who that person is. Is it Babachir? Is it the guy who has crossed over?
The former speaker. What about the former speaker?
The Dogara who has problems even in his own. Dogara comes from a minority in his own state, and he has problems in his own local government, and he has crossed from PDP to APC back to PDP. Clearly an unstable person, unstable, at least APC politician. So the decision, if Tinubu was to be the candidate, okay, then it is very clear right from the beginning. If Tinubu had not been the candidate, if it was my governor Fayemi or the vice president, Osinbajo, then it will have been a northern Christian northern Muslim who will be the vice president, and will be okay. And I don't know, it may have won, yeah, but provided it was Tinubu who is the candidate of APC, it was bound to be a Muslim ticket. And the APC has beaten that bullet. And let the people decide. Those who are not members of APC have no reason to be worried about us. So let them be in their party and beat us to it. And those who are in APC who are not happy, like Babachi, they have moved to the other parties or they have gone cold. Then in February we'll see whether the decision has been made or not. That was good.
Now, okay, another factor in this election is the power shift to the south.
That's for me is cannot be questioned. That's why I do not even see why Atiku should be running at all. The power shift to the south should not be it should not be questioned. Should not be questioned.
Okay, so why is that? Because the people who support, who think it's not important, are also saying that we should be developed enough where the best person should just win, that there shouldn't be something reserved for people.
Let me tell you, nobody has reserved anything for anybody. There are candidates in the north. Look, maybe I should state it this way. Presidential candidates are party-based. They're not region-based. The parties decide who will be their candidate based on who they believe within their candidate, within their party, is most likely to win. Okay? And you can only choose from your members. Okay? So APC has to choose from its members. PDP has to choose from its members. ADC has to choose, and so on. It will be foolhardy for any party to simply choose a person from their party simply because he now thinks that it is the turn of this region to rule the country. He won't win. Okay, I mean, the guy will not even win the primary to some extent. I mean, okay? You look at it this way. In APC, they have only had a single presidential, a single person who is president. That's Muhammad Buhari. Therefore, APC, should look south. Okay? APC should look south. So I even want to modify my issue about Atiku.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, if that stands
in PDP,
yeah,
they have gone Obasanjo, Yaradua,
Jonathan.
Okay. And even that Jonathan Yaradua has only been 2 years. So in reality, PDP should be presenting a northern candidate, which is what they are doing.
Mm.
Then it's up to the country to decide among all of them. Okay, so we will come back to your point that we have risen to a point where the region should not matter. So the people are given an opportunity. The APC presents a southern candidate. PDP presents a northern candidate. APC presents a southern candidate who happens to be from the southwest. PDP presents a northern candidate who happens to be from the northeast. NMPP produces a Labour Party produces a southern candidate who happens to be from the southeast. Kwakwanso's group produces a northern candidate who happens from the northwest. ADC, Showore's party, produces a southwestern candidate who happens to be from the Niger Delta.
Now let's look at it
of them all.
Mm-hmm. Let's look at this.
So we have a wide group of people to choose from.
Mm. That's a good point. But what do you think about the position of someone like Pa Ayo Adebanjo, who is saying that the same way you calculated this, that you've had these people from the east, from the northwest and south, that is the turn of the southeast. What do you think about his position, which Obasanjo seemed to support?
I hope you read my piece about the very first week that Pa Adebanjo came out. I hope you read my piece about him.
I'm sorry, I didn't. Yeah, go ahead.
He has always been, he's a good uncle, good pa of mine. Anytime I talk to him, he always says, "Oh, look, I am at the exit of my life." He's always saying he's in the bus stop. He has been in the bus stop for 20 years now. And he will probably be still around for 10 more years. I hope he is, Mm-hmm. He has his points. He has his points, but he's just one person with that view. He's Afenifere. Mm. And many Afenifere people don't like Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I am Afenifere Renewal Group, ARG. We are the younger Afenifere. So we don't fight against them, but they have their views and we have our views. Okay, so he has a right to support anybody, but I don't agree with him. Let everybody be on the field. Let Obi be on the field. Let everybody, and let the Nigerian people decide.